All right, so the question today is intermittent fasting as effective as calorie counting when it comes to weight loss? According to a new study published in the American College of Physicians, the answer is yes.
This is really interesting. It found that limiting food intake to a specific time window was just as effective for weight loss as counting calories. NBC News senior medical correspondent Dr. John Torres joins us now. So, Dr. Torres, we have heard a lot about intermittent fasting. I think some people think of it as intermittent gorging because they're cramming a bunch of food into 6 hours of the day. So walk us through this study and the key findings here.
And there's been a whole variety of ways people practice intermittent fasting. It could be eating one day, not eating the next day, restricting it certain hours during the day. But what they wanted to study in particular, what we call time-restricted eating. In other words, eating every day, but restricting it to certain hours. And in this case, it was 12 to 8 p.m. They said, let's restrict it to that time period and compare it against calorie counting and those who did absolutely nothing. So they took 90 people, broke them up into 3 groups. One group did nothing. The second group, calorie counting with some dietary counseling as well. And then the third group, this intermittent fasting with dietary counseling. The intermittent fasting group ended up losing 10 pounds over a year. The calorie counting ended up losing 12 pounds over a year. So they said it was essentially the equivalent. So either one seems to work very well as long as you have that counseling as well.
And Dr. Torres, you say either, but what about both? Because I know this study looked at both intermittent fasting and counting calories. So should people be doing them simultaneously?
Theoretically, you could do both simultaneously. You could cut your calories and do intermittent fasting, but the beauty behind intermittent fasting is you don't have to do all the complications with calorie counting. You don't have to worry about going to apps and figuring out what you ate. You just basically eat over that time period. And the theory is if you eat over that time period, you're going to eat less because you're not eating outside that time period. But remember, in this study, they added the dietary counseling. Other studies have shown intermittent fasting didn't work that well, so they wanted to see what happens if they gave them that dietary counseling and said, you know, let's make healthy choices in that 8-hour time period, and they end up losing the same weight as those that calorie counted.
All right, a lot to unpack there, especially as people try to get those summertime bodies together.
Summer bods.
Yeah, right? Summer bods. NBC News senior medical correspondent Dr. John Torres. Dr. Torres, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.